What is up? What is going on, everybody? I am back with my Seattle Seahawks post-game recap. Before I dive into just a couple quick things, apologize for not getting a video up last night, but as you guys know, my wife, her whole family, big Eagles fans, so we always get together when the Seahawks play the Eagles, have a little party and stuff, so the drinks were flowing. Didn't feel like it was probably appropriate for me to come on, although it would have been funny. So I wanted to wait till the next day, and obviously I'm not home right now, so I apologize if the sound isn't as good or the video quality isn't as good. More likely you're just listening to this anyways, not really watching, but do want to apologize for that. But I wanted to get the post-game video up. I'm not sure what time I'll be home. I want to wait too late, and then the luster of the victory wears off. Also, do me a favor, hit the like button for me. Just the easiest free way to help out my channel. Hit subscribe if you're new here, on the road to 3,000 subs. So thank you to everybody that has subbed and likes the videos. What a win. What a win for the Seattle Seahawks. It's a good reminder, I think, yesterday of what makes sports so amazing and so much fun. And I understand if people didn't want this team to win. I get it. Like, maybe better for the future of the organization. You go 6-11, get a better draft pick. Like, I can get all that. I'm never going to tell anybody how to be a fan. It's just not how I operate. But if you couldn't enjoy that win last night, I don't know what to tell you. I would just advise you that life is too short to not enjoy when your team wins. It is. And I get it. Like, and you know what? At the end of the day, draft position, whatever. First of all, this team still has a really good chance now to get in the playoffs, number one. So get that out of the way. And number two, even if they don't, like, that's up to the GM and everybody to worry about the draft stuff. Like, they got to figure it out then. What's meant to be is meant to be with where you finish in draft standings and everything. So I just don't worry about that stuff. Good teams, good organizations find a way to win. Bad organizations find a way to stay bad. So we've seen plenty of teams with top 5 picks throughout the years stay complete garbage. You've got to have a good front office, good coaching staff. You do that, you'll find a way. The Seahawks never really had many top 10. I think they had one top 10 pick in the Pete Carroll regime before the last couple of years when they got Russell Okung. I think Earl Thomas was 14. But they were able to build a championship team off, other drafters. But anyways, that's beside the point. Seahawks win it 20-17 over the Eagles. They get back to 7-7. They're not technically in a playoff spot, but I think we pretty much would all agree if they win out, they'll get in. And now the schedule becomes a little easier. You got through the gauntlet. You got through that gauntlet of the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Niners twice. You survived it. Kind of felt like they needed to win one of those games, and they did. I think I remember saying that a few times throughout this losing streak. If they can just find a way to win one of these, they should be in pretty good shape now to make a run, because the last 3 games are all very winnable. The Titans, Steelers, and Cardinals, I would venture to say Seattle will be favored in all 3. It doesn't mean they're going to win them. Doesn't mean they're going to win all 3, but they will be favored in all 3 games. This team does have a very realistic chance to finish 10-7 now and get in the playoffs. And before you say, well, Jay, they're not going to do anything in the playoffs, listen, they're not going to have to face the Niners in round 1. The Niners are going to get the number 1 seed. You're going to be facing one of 3 teams if the Seahawks do get in. I'm getting way ahead, and I will get into the game. But Dallas, who, if not for a Tyler Lockett drop in the 4th quarter, you probably would have won that game. The Lions, who you beat this year, or the Eagles, who you just beat. Now, Seattle would be underdogs in all 3 of those games, but the notion that they can't win a playoff game, I don't think is true. What a game last night for Drew Lock. Got to give him a ton of credit. And I have been very, very, I'm not a big Drew Lock fan. You guys know that. I've said that. But man, did he earn that win last night. That was a really, really cool moment. You could hear it in his voice in the on-field interview and the post-game recap, how much that meant to him. And I could not be happier for Drew Lock. Such a cool moment. And that's a credit to him and the work he's put in. And it's a credit to the culture that Pete Carroll has built, that a guy like that can come in and have success in a situation like that, to have the belief of the guys in that locker room to do it. He deserves a ton of credit. That last drive was, fantastic. I thought JSN was great. I thought Drew Lock was good. I did. I really did. Do I think he was amazing? No. Is Drew Lock the guy that I want leading this organization for the next 5 years? Correct? Probably not. There were still some misses and some throws are off, and the first 3 quarters were a little bit of this, and the Eagles' defense has really struggled, especially recently. But that last drive, essentially with no timeouts, to go 92 yards, essentially backed up to your own end zone, was super, super impressive. And I loved on Kenneth Walker's touchdown run, you saw Drew Lock getting out in front, throwing some blocks. He did it a couple times on a couple Walker runs. So really, really cool to see. I think on that last drive, you got to give a lot of credit to DK Metcalf. 2 catches that I don't know what the catch probability was on either one, but they had to be really low. The one where almost looked like Bradbury picked it off, but DK kind of grabbed it off of him. And that didn't look like much, but that was 2nd and 5, gave him a first down. You don't get that. It's 3rd and 5, maybe 4th and 5. So, that could have been ball game. Then the 3rd and 10 catch along the sidelines was absolutely incredible. And it's so funny because we've been talking for so long about DK not really high pointing a ball and going up there and I don't know how to word it, but just not one-on-one beating the defender to go up and get the ball. It's been something he just hasn't done a lot, and he did it last night a couple times, but especially on that catch there towards the sideline. And then obviously great throw by Locke to JSN, but how about that catch by JSN? That's not an easy catch to make. That was on his fingertips. You've got to have great hand strength to bring that ball in and trying to keep your feet in bounds. So just a tremendous, tremendous catch by JSN. Great throw by Drew Lock too, because he put it where it's either a catch or it's incomplete. There would have been no pick there, so you still would have had another play. It would have been 4th down, but a tremendous throw and maybe an even better catch by Smith and Jigba. Really not going to get into a Geno versus Drew Lock debate for a couple reasons in this video. One, too happy about the win to start anything negative or any negative talk. I am team Geno Smith. I do think Geno does give this team a little bit better chance. I think he's just a little more consistent. But Drew Lock earned last night, right? He earned not having that debate, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to come on here and just turn this into, oh, and now we got to determine who's going to be the quarterback. It'll play out the way it needs to play out. I'm just going to let what happens. I can understand both sides of it. I'm really not. If you want to get in a debate, comment, go for it. You guys can discuss it. I'm really not. Like, Drew Lock was great last night. He earned his moment in the sun. I am still slight lean with Geno Smith, but I think they made the right call going to Lock last night. If Geno's groin is not 100%, I think Drew Lock does give you a better chance with that mobility. If Geno Smith can't use his mobility, then I think, Drew does give you a better chance to win, and I think he did last night. Want to give the offensive line some credit. Since Abe Lucas has come back, this offensive line has looked a lot better. That's not taken away from Jason Peters, what he did at right tackle at his age, or even Stone Forsythe, who I thought they held their own. But I said it in my preseason preview of this team, I really think Abe Lucas has a chance to be one of the best right tackles in the game. Like the Seahawks version of Ryan Ramczyk or something like that at right tackle. And you see a difference. He came back in the Cowboys game. In the last 3 games, this offensive line has, I think, held up pretty well. I don't know what all the PFF grades are on it and stuff. I use PFF as a tool. I think we can look at it and go, okay, this gives us an idea, but it's also not the end-all be-all. I've seen a lot of PFF grades that make 0 sense whatsoever. So I don't know where they all grade, but I think you can see a difference. And this offensive line has looked a lot better with Lucas. And against Dallas's front, the Niners front, and the Eagles front, probably the 3 toughest front lines they're going to face the entire year, unless I'm missing someone from earlier, but I don't think I am. So tremendous job by them. I think the defense deserves a little credit last night. Jalen Hurts averaged like 4.5 yards per attempt. That's not good against the Seahawks defense, especially without Spoon out there. A pretty poor performance, I thought, from Hurts. Now, you might say, well, Jay, he was 6. That's why the Seattle defense played better. I said this on Twitter. I don't care. I've seen players that are, I think, legally dead kill this defense before. So I don't care if Hurts is sick. He could have been missing limbs, and I've seen guys go after this defense. But I thought they played pretty well. A little bit of a rough start, but even on that first drive, as frustrating it was when the Eagles went down the field, it was a lot of dink and dunk. And that's not taken away from the Eagles' drive, but it wasn't like 20-yard chunk plays. They were in 3rd and longs. They converted them. That's frustrating, but it wasn't the typical, what we've seen from this defense so much, and this is what's been frustrating with this defense. They've been just getting gashed on 1st down, 2nd down. I mean, the Cowboys 2 weeks ago, I don't even know if they faced a 3rd down that was more than 3rd and 2. You know what I mean? And for the first time in a while, Seattle's putting a team in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10s more so. Now, the Eagles did convert some of those. I don't know what their final 3rd down numbers ended up being, but they were doing a better job of putting them into 3rd downs. The pass rush didn't really get home much, but the Eagles' offensive line is really good. Mailata is one of the best left tackles in the game. Lane Johnson's one of the best right tackles in the game. Mailata left tackle, I think I said right tackle. And then, you got Dickerson on the interior of the line. Jason Kelsey's probably the best center in the game. So I didn't expect the pass rush to get home. I thought the coverage was pretty good. A.J. Brown was okay, but he didn't go off on them. Neither did Devonta Smith. So I thought the secondary did a good job. It's interesting Michael Jackson play instead of Reek Woolen. Reek did get some playing time. I get it. Listen, Woolen has struggled in his second year. He's taken a bit of a step back. He still played, which is good. I don't think he should never see the field. But I like that. Like Pete said, they had a competition in practice, and Michael Jackson won it. You got to earn your spot. I get talent and upside should play. Like I would never... like sometimes you got to play the rookies. You got to let them grow, but you also need to have competition. Guys have to earn it. Rookie or 10-year veteran, you've got to earn your spot in the team. And Pete's done a great job that throughout his career. Russell Wilson beat out Matt Flynn despite the contract to Matt Flynn. I think any other coach in the league would be like, well, we're paying Matt Flynn 20 mil or whatever it was. I don't think it was 20 mil, but we got to roll him out there. Pete's not afraid to bench rookies for veterans and bench veterans for rookies if he feels it makes it better. I'm also not going to get into a Pete Carroll discussion in this video. Again, I can 100% get both sides of it. I said this on Twitter last night. Regardless of what side you're on, love Pete, don't like Pete. I get it. There's a lot of things to be frustrated about. But my gosh, are the Seahawks going to miss Pete Carroll if and when he steps down? Just a tremendous coach, a tremendous leader. Yeah, there were some goofy things last night. I don't know why he called that timeout and the Eagles were able to challenge the Drew Lock sack in the fourth quarter. Yeah, that's bad. Pete has a couple of those boneheaded ones a week. But same thing I say with like baseball, those in-game decisions over the course of a year, they usually balance out. Talent wins. At the end of the day, talent wins. Now, in football, I think coaching matters a little bit more because you have so much schematic stuff. But, credit to Pete, a team that lost 4 in a row. Could have easily folded in, but the effort was there last night. The energy was there. And I am 100% convinced Geno Smith and Drew Lock, you've seen the success they have had here. Geno was a journeyman who hadn't been a starting quarterback, truthfully, in about 9 years going into last year. I know he started a couple games, but hadn't been a true starting quarterback in almost a decade. Drew Lock written off in Denver. And they've both come here. Geno's had success and revitalized his career. I don't know if Lock's necessarily revitalized his career yet, but I mean, that was probably the best moment in his young career last night. And I think the culture that Pete Carroll has contributes to that. Do I think Pete's like a quarterback whisperer? No, not necessarily. But I do think the culture and his attitude and how he approaches things makes it easier for guys to succeed. I think they feel that support from the staff. Drew Lock talked about that, and that's another thing where I give Pete Carroll credit. Like, you listen to players in the interviews after the game, and it's easy when you win, right? And listen, Seattle could go out and lose the next 3, and, I'm sitting there going, Pete, what are you doing? But for right now, right, we're focused in the right now, and they won. So we're going to talk positive. That's just my take on it. And the players are very quick to talk about the coaching staff and their belief in them, and Drew Lock did the same thing last night. So I think Pete deserves a ton of credit for that. I'm rocking my backwards Pete hat that he wore in the post-game press conference. So shout out to Pete. Trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, one take I will have. Julian Love should be the starting strong safety. 2 picks for Julian Love last night. Probably got away with a little bit of a tug on that one in the end zone, and then that pick at the end of the game was just tremendous. If you watch, it's not the all 22, but the overhead view, how far Julian Love came across to make that play. One, just shows what tremendous athletes these guys are. But man, what a pick by Julian Love. Listen, I'm not a Jamal Adams hater. I think he struggled this year. He's coming back from the injury. Whatever it is, he looks slower this year. He's not making an impact. Julian Love is a better player. Let Jamal Adams sit out the year. I don't know. Cut him in the offseason, whatever you need to do, free up the money. But Julian Love should be the starting strong safety. So I will take a stand there. I'm not going to go too much into the Lock Geno thing, the Pete, fire Pete, whatever. But I will make a stand there. The Julian Love should be the starting strong safety. Last shout I want to give in terms of players is Leonard Williams. The Giants, the former Giants, Julian Love and Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams came to this team when they were 5-2. He has played tremendous. He has been an impact player. He's given them that boost they were looking for. Unfortunately, the schedule's been a lot tougher since they added him, and they just haven't played as well as a team, and they've gone 2-5 since Leonard Williams has been a Seahawk. I think so, right? Yeah, because they were 5-2. So yeah, 2-5. It's crazy. He's been there for 7 games already. Lost my train of thought real quick. But yeah, Leonard Williams has been a tremendous addition. So happy for him because, he comes over here. Team was in first place. I didn't think they'd win the division. The Niners always kind of seemed like the better team, but they seemed like a pretty good lock for the playoffs. You had big Leonard Williams, and they've struggled. No fault of his own. He was the best player on defense last night, in my opinion. Any plays around the backfield were being made by Leonard Williams. I thought he had a tremendous impact on the game. He is a really good football player, and it's been lost in some of the struggles, but I hope they re-sign Leonard Williams because I think he is a great player to have on this D-line and was super impressed with him last night. Loved the energy. He could easily be the most frustrated guy in that locker room. Be like, dude, I came here to help you guys. I've done it, and we've lost. And he hasn't. I don't know. I don't know what goes on in the locker room, but he seems like someone that's given this team a boost and has kept them going. So good for him. Good for the Seahawks, and good for us, right? Like, we have gone... It was last time this team won was 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. We've got the Mariners doing God only knows what this offseason. I know a lot of you guys have the Huskies, and I'm super happy for y'all. I'm not a Huskies fan, so that doesn't really impact me, but super happy for you guys if you are Huskies fans. That was a heck of a ride this year that's still going. But it's been tough, and it's nice to have something to talk about. I always do, quote Kevin from The Office when he goes, it's just nice to win one. It just feels good to win one. And that's what it felt like last night. It felt good. Winning is fun. It's fun. It's what I just can't root for the team to lose. I cannot do it. I don't care if they're, and especially now they have a chance to get in the playoffs. In fact, I'd say they have a pretty good chance. In fact, I think they will get in the playoffs. I think that win can springboard them. Tennessee's going to have quarterback questions next week. Their offensive line's a mess. I think Seattle should be able to snap their road losing streak. Depending on what Pittsburgh's got going at quarterback, I feel like Seattle should be able to beat them. Then you got to go to Arizona last week, and a team you're better than all three of these teams. Maybe Pittsburgh is close. And they could lose too. Tennessee's good enough that they could beat you. So is Arizona to an extent. But Seattle's going to be favored in all three of these games. They have a chance to go 10-7, get in, and I don't think it's crazy that they'd win a playoff game. I don't think they'd go to San Francisco and win, no. But, I think going to Dallas, Philly, or Detroit is all winnable. Do I think they would do it? I probably wouldn't favor them, but I don't think it's like this absurd, crazy thing. They've done it. They went to Dallas. They should have won. They won at Detroit, and they beat Philly. I know that was in Seattle. It's going to be different if they go to Philly in the playoffs, but... they still beat them, right? Like, you can't just dismiss that with a backup quarterback. So, we'll see what happens, but I'm 100% rooting for this team. Even if they're 0-12, I don't root for them to lose. Winning feels too good. The food tastes better all week. The water is a little crisper. Everything is a little bit better when your team wins. My mood is better all week at work. It's just, if they win next on Christmas Eve, Christmas feels a little bit better. The presents feel a little bit better on Christmas Day. So, and that's regardless of the team's record. And like I said, the rest of it, that's up to the GM and the coaching staff in the front office to figure out the draft. That's not our responsibility to worry about that. So let them figure it out. Good teams find a way. And if this front office is good, whether they're picking 9th or 27th, they'll figure it out, right? That's up to them to figure it out. They need to do that. That's on them. So good teams find ways to win. Bad teams don't. It's kind of that simple. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry, it's all over the place. Got my poor wife, Eagles fan, her family. The one team the Seahawks just dominate is the Philadelphia Eagles. Of all the teams, we joke about it. Eagles haven't beaten the Seahawks since 2008. That was the Seneca Walls to Corn Robinson touchdown in the first play. Then Seattle punted 11 times in a row. I was, in college at the time when that game was going on. So just crazy. If all the teams the Seahawks seem to dominate, my poor wife, it's got to be the Eagles. But it is what it is, right? We've seen our team get dominated by other teams. So hope you guys enjoyed the post-game recap. A heck of a win. A lot of fun. Good for Drew Lock. Good for Pete Carroll. Good for you guys. Good for me. Good for the Seahawks. Let's go get the playoffs. Let's go get ourselves a ring, right? It's still there. It is still out there. You never know. Weird things happen. The 2007 Giants won a Super Bowl. So who knows? Hopefully the Seahawks can do that. You never know. Never know. Always got to have some faith, right? That's why we watch sports. We don't watch these two keep accumulating draft picks. We watch them because we want our teams to win. So have a great day, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the game. Hope you enjoyed the recap. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.